Was very excited to very anticipating seeing this. I've seen it twice. I saw it Thursday, the day before official opening, and I saw it yesterday in a completely different theater and very different viewing experience. And I'm seeing it tonight again for a third time for another third completely different viewing experience. I'll tell you about the theaters first. I went to see it in New York City on 34th Street at the big AMC theater. Now I went to a 5 p.m. viewing, and the audience, the house was not packed at all. There was like 12 people, maybe max, maybe 14 max when we went. A few more came in, but it was a really big empty theater, and it was IMAX. And I'm glad I saw it in IMAX because it was filmed in IMAX. Not really necessary that you see it, but if you can, go ahead and do that. So, what I really wanted from my venue was a big full house. So last night, I went to, am I looking at this right? Yeah. I want to look you in the eye. Where's the camera? Okay, I think I'm looking you in the face. Maybe I'm not. So, okay, so, sorry, I don't do this very often. So last night I saw it in Harlem at the Magic Johnson cinema, and that was a packed house. Now, I know I really wanted to see it in a packed house, so when I bought my ticket on Fandango, and on Fandango you can pick your seat in theaters with received viewing, and we picked our seats on Thursday, and I saw it alone last night, and I picked my seat accordingly, and I'm really glad that I did that. So this is, of course, it's Harlem, so it's a predominantly black audience. I would say 95% black audience, very receptive, enthusiastic, audience, and but I felt it was a very quiet, attentive audience. It was, because it starts out very quietly, and you want to pay attention to this movie. It's a very thoughtful movie, so it got pretty exciting as the movie got more exciting. Now tonight I'm seeing it again in a much bigger theater. It's about 6:41 right now as I'm filming this, and I will be running down to Lincoln Square Cinemas, AMC Lincoln Square at Broadway and 68th Street, and that's a much bigger house. Now, the first two times I saw it in the back row. I picked seats in the middle the first night on Thursday, but my buddy and I moved to the back row, and it was great at IMAX to be up. And it's a small house. We were in, like row H, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, a 7-row theater. So it's not a very big house. Last night, I decided I want to sit in the back row again. So at the Magic Johnson Theater, I sat in the back row, which I think was row, row J maybe. I'm not sure, but a slightly bigger house, and it was packed. And again, I'm really glad I saw it in a full. If you ever can see it in a full house, see it when the audiences are fresh. And I'll get to my review in a minute. Tonight, I'm really excited because I shopped around to find a theater that I knew was going to be full, and what I found, I'm really excited about. At the Lincoln Square Cinema that I'm seeing it in, it's a much bigger house, and I am right dead center in the middle of a big house. Behind me, there will be a big balcony. So I'm in row J, and there is J, K, L, M, N, O, P, like maybe 5 or 6 rows behind me. So big, huge, maybe I'll set up some guides and some pages to this, and I'll link it a little later tonight in the description, so you can maybe get a sense of the seating arrangements, how I did. This is really important to me. Movie viewing, having the right experience in the movie theater is really important. I come prepared. I make sure I've got soda. I make sure that I'm attentive and rested. I make sure I'm awake. I'm excited. So now let's get to my review of Nope. I love it. I love this movie. Um, in the beginning, let's talk about my first experience of my first viewing. You have to pay attention in this movie. And even in a big house with a big IMAX screen and a good sound system, um, and I'm not hard of hearing, but the major character, one of the major characters, OJ, is so stoic and subdued that you really have to pay attention to understand what he says. It's not that he's mumbling. It's not his diction. It's just somehow it's translated in the sound where if you're looking at that screen, you may find yourself missing some lines, missing a few key lines in the movie. So when I say pay attention, I mean really pay attention to the words, really pay attention to the dialogue, and really pay attention to every little thing you see on the screen. Everything. Look carefully. Look at the detail, because detail is really a big part of this experience. So, and the running time for this movie is 131 minutes. That is 2 hours and 21 minutes, which is fantastic, because if you've got a great movie, you don't want it to end. Now, it did feel a little long. Jordan Peele took his time, and I do not complain about that, because I really love a director who just sets a pace, takes you into a story. He's not cramming a ton of exposition into the story right from the beginning. He puts enough in that's important, but he lets you enjoy the story. You enjoy the characters. You enjoy what's happening, and you just get ready for something wonderful. A lot of directors today rush through, but people like I really admire people like Kubrick, for example. He will really take his time, and he will let dialogue go very slowly. He can see people sitting in a room, no conversation, so, the things that are said in this movie are important, but it's not nonstop talking. The lines are important. And you can, one nice thing too is a movie that is loaded with so much detail and so much happening, you will probably not get everything in the first viewing. And don't be afraid of that. I spoke to a guy last night at the Magic Johnson Theater afterwards, because I wanted to hear some audience reactions. And this gentleman was like, well, I'm not quite sure whether I liked it. I'm sort of on the fence. And actually, it was funny, because after my first viewing on Thursday at 5 o'clock, I could relate to that, because I was still letting it sort of gel in my head, and I knew, the things that I saw I loved, but somehow I knew I would have to go back again. And I didn't go with my friend this time. I went alone so that I could just be very attentive, and I enjoyed myself. And now this is what's so cool. I gotta talk about those they're called wacky inflatable guy, those weird little figures. I tried to find out what the heck are those. I've seen the pictures of them before. They're the big balloons, and I'm going to start going into detail in the movie now. So there may be some spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see it once or twice and then come back, and you can hear me talk about the experience. This is what I love. When I saw that trailer, those strange figures floating around were just so cool, because they were creepy, they were visually interesting, and I just had a feeling I just knew there was a reason. I knew there had to be a reason Jordan Peele put them in the trailer conspicuously in this way, okay? He was having fun. So I was really excited about them. Now, one thing that I Google everything. I Google anything that I oh, a little paste here. If I don't know the name of something or what a person's name is or a book is or something, I look it up. And I wanted to figure out what do they call those floating things, right? And I looked and I looked and I looked, and it was so hard for me to find a search, because what do you search for? Floating balloon dancing goating. Well, this is, if you look for them, they're almost always called a variation of wacky inflatable guy, wacky dancer, wacky floating dancer. And so that's what they are, these wacky inflatable dancers that are multicolored. And now, it was so cool early in the film. There was a scene where the main character, Emerald, who's just fabulous. She's a lot of fun. Emerald is driving, and she has just come away from a job, her and her brother. She's driving home. I think he might be driving because she's sitting in the passenger seat. And there's a really cool shot. And so, again, go watch it and then come back, because this is the shot. They're driving on this kind of a major city highway, like, main thoroughfare in a town. And, it's kind of looks like sort of a countryish town with, countryish sort of stores and car dealerships and things, not a very big populated area. And she's driving past these wacky inflatable guys. And there they are. You see them up ahead of you on the screen through the window. And they're up, they're at the right side of the road, and I think, oh gosh, here they come. What are those things, And this is the cool shot. Oh, this just gave me goosebumps. When they're driving past these wacky inflatable guys, Peele puts his camera, he focuses it on the exterior of the car, on Emerald's face as she's looking out the window. And one by one, these wacky inflatable guys come dancing by the window, different color. Here's a yellow one. Here's a green one. Here's a purple one. And they're all topsy-turvy, and it's just this wonderful, fantastic sequence of one by one these wacky pose inflatable guys showing up in her car window. It's just watch for it. It is such a cool shot. Now, let me talk. I'm just going to talk until I have to go off to the theater, because let's see. I've got my ticket is at the AMC. I'm just going to look up the time. I think it's 8 or 8:30. Yeah, I've got an 8:30 viewing, so I don't need to leave the house for a while. So I can just sit here and talk, and I'm just going to do stream of consciousness. Now, let me give you some background quickly. I admire Get Out. I had a lot of problems getting through it for some reason. I was falling asleep at home. I bought the movie. I have a big film collection, and I love Jordan Peele. At least, I heard a lot about Get Out. I don't think I'd seen Key and Peele, but I knew that this is a film that I was supposed to like, and that I should like. It was a good film, but it took me a while. It took me several viewings to really get to the end and figure out what was going on. I knew what was going on, but maybe it was too long for me. I'm not quite sure. I still haven't figured out why Get Out hasn't hit me like a ton of bricks, and I think it will one day. I'll tell you how I figured out the solution, and you can take this advice. If you are having trouble watching a movie, what I've gotten into recently is I've really gotten big time into movie reaction videos on YouTube, okay? And I watch a ton of them, and I watch them over and over again. Even the same guy, same girl, same couple watching a movie, if they've got a good reaction, I will come and I will watch it again. And holy cow, movie reaction videos have taught me a lot. And now that's a whole different video. But I really started to appreciate Get Out when I saw a condensed version and I saw people reacting, and it kind of moved. People see different things and they react a different way. So again, I know that Get Out is good. I wasn't crazy about it. The race thing to me was a little bit heavy-handed, but I understand Jordan Peele, and I don't mind that. It's his story, it's his movie. He can do what he wants, and people like the movie. I was crazy about Us. I mean, when I saw Us, holy cow. When I saw Us, of course I had to go back and see it again, but when I was sitting in that theater, I really literally mean this. I'm pretty, observant with film criticism and genre and paying attention and understanding film. I'm very conversant in film theory and technique and all that stuff. I love film. I study film. My favorite films, I watch them over and over. I like it when I really, really love a movie. When I saw Us, I was blown away, and I remember distinctly, I was thinking in my head, I am watching the Citizen Kane of scary movies. That's how highly I regarded it. And I really do still feel that way. Now, I've seen it many, many times since, and of course, once you've seen a movie like that, there are no more surprises anymore. And just to get back to audience reactions, if you've seen a movie many times that you love, right, and you've seen it 10, 20 times, and maybe you think you've seen it enough and you might not know you're going to watch it again, I would suggest this. I would suggest go to YouTube and find a reaction video for your favorite movies that you've seen and watch other people experience them and watch them react to them. Because that is the most fantastic way to look at old familiar films that you love in a fresh light, and I think it'll really help. It helps me very much with my film appreciation. I gotta take off these glasses because they're busted. You can see my handsome face without them. So, movie reactions, and that's one of the reasons why I was so careful and so hoping to get a good audience and a good audience reaction for Nope. Because the first time I was kind of shocked that I thought, well, it's opening day and the theater is like, nobody's here. We got this giant, AMC stadium theater to ourselves practically. I realized, though, it was really officially the day before opening. It was Thursday the 21st, and it was relatively early in the evening. It was a 5 p.m. viewing, so it wouldn't be packed, right? So last night when I was looking for tickets, and I think Magic Johnson Theater, got to see it at a Magic Johnson Theater in Harlem, because, you're going to get all the black community is going to be out, a lot of Jordan Peele fans. They're going to be very expectant. They're going to be very responsive. I really wanted to treasure that. And so when I picked out the time, I made sure that I picked, I looked at, you can go and look at the map of the seats and you can see how full it is. And I wanted to be in the back. So I found a time, I saw it last night at 7:45, when I knew the theater was going to be full, because I saw that almost everything was sold out, but there was like one lone seat in back row, H7, right? These great reclinable seats. And so I knew we're going to have a packed house. It's a Friday night. It's 7:45. It's summertime in Harlem, and we are going to see Nope. Opening of what is purporting to be a great film. On a side note, I learned yesterday that Nope has already won an award. And it's a funny award that I didn't know existed. It's something like the Hollywood Movie Association mid-season anticipated film. Like, what's the most heavily anticipated film in the middle of the film season? And Nope won that award from this association. So you'll go to IMDb and you'll look it up and you'll see, oh, it won an award already. That's the award. And I thought that spoke a lot because it said audiences are very loyal to Jordan Peele. This is one thing interesting I've noticed. Audiences are very loyal to him, but audiences have all of their own opinions about him. And I'm always surprised. I was very surprised when I heard people that didn't like Us, And I was kind of surprised when there were so many people just crazy about Get Out, because as I said, it took me a while to even get through a full viewing because of my attention span or something. But what I've come to realize is everybody has different reactions, and even though filmmakers test their films and they're masters, Jordan Peele, he's telling the story he wants to tell. Whatever you're doing, I know that Jordan Peele has made this movie for his audiences, and I say, bless him. I say, thank you, Jordan Peele, for loving us with this film. I really feel like if I were to meet him right now, that's what I would say. I would say, thank you for loving us, because he loves his audience and he wants us to have those experiences. But he's telling his story, and he's going to tell it his way, and it's going to be a story he wants to tell. He knows enough to put things in films to make sure the audiences are shaken and moved and excited and all this, and their attention is held, and they come away happy. I mean, it's not like he's compromising his story, but I really do believe that Jordan Peele is first of all making the movie for himself, and then a very, very close second, the big, broad audience. And I know Jordan Peele is not just interested in one audience. He wants everybody. He wants everybody to love his films. And what is exciting about Nope is I could tell the care he put in. First of all, Get Out was a very, simply, in a way, simple, contained movie with a lot of characters, but, basically one or two locations and a very confined space, and it was an intimate story, and it was closed space, Us was fantastic because once they left their house, then you realize the story of the and here's a spoiler, when you realize it's not just them, and it's the whole country, and it's Hands Across America gone wild, it has this scale, right? But it's still a big film, which is on par with a Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Big, sweeping, spectacle, the story makes national headlines, or local headlines at least, when what happens at Jupiter's claim. It's a big film, it's much bigger than, the characters are great. There's another, again, stream of consciousness. I noticed watching the trailer, and I think I had already heard that Jordan Peele had filmed this in IMAX, right? So in this movie, some people are trying to film some stuff, and if you know the movie, you know that they're there to film some things, right? But they bring in a special cinematographer by the name of Antlers Holst. He's played by the wonderful Michael Wincott. He plays him very well. The Antlers Holst is a sort of a world-renowned cinematographer who is famous for being inventive and creating his own equipment and getting the impossible shots and making them possible. And Gustav Holst is, I think, sort of on the par in the movie with a Stanley Kubrick type, or somebody who is renowned as a cinematographer. So the main character, Emerald, although she just met him at a shoot that recently, that's how she got introduced to him. She must have known who he was, because when she contacted him, she said, I think you may be the only cinematographer who is able to catch what we're trying to catch. And it was really cool. So, but this is what's great. He shows up with an IMAX camera. And I saw that in the trailer and it was so cool. And one of my favorite moments, in the third act, when they're busy filming, the moment when his big, badass IMAX camera is working away, he's filming. And then it's real film, you see, and at a certain point, you gotta change the reel. And he and his assistant stop, and the assistant pulls off this enormous, like double spool film reel, huge mother, off of the camera, and replaces it with another one. There's something so exciting about that shot. I just was, oh my gosh, it was so cool to see. I don't know why, but there's another moment that I treasure. What happens to Gustav Holst is really, it's wonderful. He makes a decision at some point. He knows what it means to chase a dream, and he knows what it means to have a mountaintop experience. He knows what it is to get an impossible, make the impossible possible. But at some point he says, I think it's I, maybe it's we, he says, we don't deserve the impossible. He's shooting, he says, we don't deserve the impossible. I don't deserve the impossible. And I'll find out the exact quote. I'd like to get quotes right. When you see it, it's really special because he steps away. That's where he makes a decision. And it's the most exciting thing what that character does at that moment. It's so special. And I say, thank you, Jordan Peele, for loving us. What a fantastic moment. That's really crazy. You gotta realize when you go into Nope, and I hate saying this, you have to pay attention, you have to see it twice, okay? Just understand that. Now sometimes when I tell people, there's some things that I can't really explain to you, and it's sort of complicated to tell, and you don't want to go into too much of a convoluted story. But when I tell certain people you have to see it twice, they're like, I don't want to see a movie that I have to see twice to appreciate. No. You really do. It's very fun. It's a great movie on the first viewing. I had a fantastic time. My buddy and I came away elated. I'm very excited. I knew I would be seeing it again. I didn't know when I would be seeing it again. Of course, I turned around yesterday and I saw it like the very next day, and I'm seeing it again tonight at 8:30 at Lincoln Square. But what was so exciting about the second viewing was that I paid attention the first time. I paid attention. And because I paid attention in the second viewing, every little thing, I looked at the screen, looking at the detail. There's an early moment that involves an X-ray at the hospital, a head X-ray. Very important moment. And I saw it. I saw the detail in my mind. I saw the detail the first night. But it went over my head. I didn't really understand it. It didn't really register. The second time, you know the plot, and you know that little tiny detail in the head X-ray, and it shows you, and you know what it is, and you know what had happened, and you know where it came from, and you know what it did to that character. And a horse. Oh, the horses, it's funny. What's great about a movie that takes place with a lot of horses at a modern, horse what do they call it? Haywood Hollywood Horses. This training facility and rental house, I guess, wranglers. These horse wranglers. What's so exciting about having horses in the movie is it becomes a horse movie, and if you wanted to sum this up really briefly, you got to mention the horses. If you have a one sentence plot or a two sentence plot about the movie, you got to mention the horses. They're central to the film, and it's so exciting, and you get the look and the feel of a real horse wrangler's ranch, and what the facilities are like. And they're big and they're dirty and they're open air, and the horses sit in their stalls all day, and there's places where they take them to do their exercising and let them run, and places where they water them, and places where they're teaching them, doing the training, like they train the horse to lie down on command, they train the horse to turn around. I don't know if they train horses to walk backwards, but there's a great scene where this horse walks backwards and you see him from the rear. It's a horse's ass. I mean, you see it's actually a shot of the feet, but this horse is Lucky, and Lucky's walking backwards, and it's a really interesting shot to see the legs of a horse move, because if you're not paying attention, you think it's just a horse walking, but then you see the hooves. Hooves are shaped in a certain way where they're slanted down in front, and you see the feet, and you realize, and the ankles, and you realize the horse is walking backwards. Lucky is walking backwards. It's a great shot, but it's a horse movie. Well, the great thing about a horse movie out in the California desert is you can have a bit of Western music, and so the composer, Michael Abels, I believe is how you pronounce his name, either Michael Abels or Michael Abels. Michael Abels' score is wonderful because from time to time he takes advantage of that da 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 that Western horse theme, that great Western music. It's not a lot. I mean, the music is a very strange variety. Wonderful orchestral score, very subtle score. But this is a movie. This is Hollywood. I think Hollywood's going to love this film because it's an homage to Hollywood. It's an homage to film. It's an homage to people in show business. It's an homage to the people in the background. There's a lot of backstories of these people who everybody wants to be in the movies, in Hollywood. I mean, and who makes it? You're lucky if you're going to wind up one day making costumes or, doing catering service or training horses or stunt work or working on a crew for a movie. I mean, if you get that close to the movies in Hollywood and you get to work in the film industry, you're really lucky. Remember that line from that crazy movie, Disaster Artist, about The Room? The worst day on a film shoot is in my head I'm going to get to. And I'll come back in a non-spoiler and we can discuss this. But one question I had was, did Jupe steal Lucky? I'm not absolutely sure. I think he stole the horse. I have to go in tonight with that detail in my mind to pay attention to know that. It's a minor plot detail, sort of, but you have to understand the character Jupe Parks, or his name is Ricky Parks, but he goes by Jupe. He is a former child actor who had a strange experience. So that's one question I want. Another question too, and you're going to, those of you who've seen this are going to remember what happens at the wishing well. Something happens at the wishing well pretty early in the film, where Emerald takes a liberty and sticks her nose in where it's not wanted, and it's very cute. And I missed it the first time, but when I saw the wishing well on the second viewing, then I remembered what's coming up at the end and what she does at the wishing well. But my question is, when she's at the wishing well, something is coming out of the wishing well one at a time. And you can see them come out one at a time. such a crazy, crazy freaking plot move. It's the wishing well is just like, that's genius. But the question is does she take them? Now, does she take them? The first night, I'm looking at it, and right there, next to her is her whole hope and dream is sitting right there. And they're like, why aren't you taking them? Why aren't you grabbing them? Well, I realize something else had caught her attention at that point. And it's OJ. She sees OJ. And at that moment, she knows he's okay. And she gets up, goes to him, they have that moment. So that's one question that the film will not answer for me, because I know I'm not going to see tonight whether she takes those things, because the film doesn't tell you. But I think what I realized today is, of course she takes them, but the reason she steps away from them, whatever the treasure that it is that she's made for herself, quite inventive, made for herself, is nothing compared to the treasure of her brother. And of course, when she sees he's there and he's okay, of course she gets up and goes to him. So now it makes sense why she left them behind. Now, I'm sure after they had their little, hug and moment, I guarantee you she went back and she took them. But, and if I ever talk to Jordan Peele, I'll ask him what his answer to that question is. And he may not have an answer. He may know it in his head. Some directors know things, but they don't tell you. A good director gives you everything you need to know in the film. If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist. And what that basically means, not quite literally, is that a good director gives you the information you need. And he's not always expecting you to figure it out like a puzzle, like some people do with Stanley Kubrick movies. They're just not, they don't understand Kubrick, and they think they're aficionados. They try to interpret everything, and they come up with these grand scenarios and start putting details together like, no. Stanley told you what he wanted you to know. It makes sense. If he didn't answer that question, he didn't answer the question. Now, there are some things, like in my mind, I'm guessing, of course, that Emerald took those things, and that's it's a secondary point in a way, but a good director, you can't impose just any crazy, cracky theory about a film. A director is going to show you as much as you need to know and expect you to figure out most of it. The director is not expecting you to invent crazy reasons and crazy theories to answer questions that he doesn't always answer. Be careful when you try to interpret a film. You can't just make something up in your head and wish that it's true. But I think that one thing that Jordan Peele must have in common with Stanley Kubrick is he labors to get everything right, but everything is done deliberately. There is nothing in the frame, there is nothing on the screen, there is nothing in the picture, there is nothing on the set. There is nothing on the set that he is not aware of, and there's nothing that he did not put there intentionally. He may have done it in a sidelong manner. He may have done it subtly. It may be in your face. It may be in the background. But he put it there. He put it there for a reason. So there's lots of great details like that. And another funny thing, those of you who've seen this movie, it's at the very end. Let's say that, I'll put it this way. Part of the Jupiter Claim theme park gets swept up by the wind and lands on Haywood's farm, on their property. And it's very funny because it's pointing up. And it's hilarious. It's a really cute moment. You know, I heard somebody talk about jokes in the film. This isn't a jokey film. There's a lot of warm, gentle humor. There's a moderate amount of appropriate chuckles and laughs. It's got a very warm feeling to it. It is not an unfriendly film. It's not an unfunny film. But it's not a total jokey film either. It's not a comedy. You know, it's a warm drama with a lot of human emotion, and the laughs are great. Oh, another thing that I learned, you know, a lot of people, I've seen strange speculations online, and I thought, I'm going to ignore that. I'm not going to pay attention to that until I hear Jordan Peele explain what it means, right? Because, excuse me, I got an itchy back. Jordan Peele, again, he's a genius, he's a master, he's got a big life ahead of him. Gosh, can you imagine if he makes even a film every other year? How fantastic that's going to be. But I've seen speculation about the title, Nope, all capital letters, Nope. And spoiler alert, it's not an acronym. Okay, it's the word nope. And I've heard people speculate, well, it means not of planet Earth or non-object, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, no. This is Jordan Peele's explanation of nope. He says, this is really carefully, closely restating and rephrasing it the way he said it, okay? He says, you know, black people can put up with quite a bit, and they put up with a lot. And everybody has their limits, and black people, there's one thing about black people is they know when they reach their limit, they know when they've had enough, and at that point it's nope. So, you know, that explains, that's why this film is called Nope, because it's like there's some point in your life where it's like, nope, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to put up with this is unacceptable, I'm walking away, nope, not going there. And I think that is one of the funniest things. I'd be interested to do some more reading. Go do some searching on Google and look for people explaining the title of the movie Nope and what it means. And you're going to find out these silly acronyms like, what does it mean? Because it looks odd in all capital letters. It looks, capital letters might indicate that it's an acronym, you know, like UFO or UAP, you know. So anyway, I'm going to see what time it is and take a check-in. I don't know if anybody's even watching this because I'm streaming live right now at on Saturday, July, got my glasses here. Saturday, July 23rd, and it is from Harlem here. It's 7:22 Eastern Time in Harlem, New York City, 149th and Riverside. I will be walking out of the house probably in about 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and I'll get to Lincoln Square in time. I'm so excited. I noticed at the first viewing in the IMAX theater, holy mother of pearl, were there a lot of trailers. If you're going to see Nope in an IMAX theater and you're 15 minutes late, you're going to miss half of the trailers. I swear there were 30 minutes of trailers. I swear, 30 minutes of trailers and clips and stuff. Last night wasn't so bad. There weren't nearly as many trailers. But, you know, tonight I'm going back to AMC. Well, there was AMC last night, too. We'll see. Maybe, at the IMAX theater, people don't get into IMAX theaters very often. And so I think at an IMAX previews, they want to show you a lot of movies up on that IMAX screen because they want to get you excited about the film. But, holy cow. I don't think I've ever sat through so many trailers. And, you know, just relax and don't wear yourself out in the middle, get to the theater, settle in, go to the show rested, be ready to pay attention, and then when the movie starts, just drink it in. Let the movie, it is 2 hours and 21 minutes. It doesn't go by like that, which is good because you don't want it to disappear. You don't want it to stop. But it's a long movie. So, don't let that bother you. It's a plus because he's giving you a spectacle. Jordan Peele is giving you a ton of stuff on that screen. I mean, he planned and designed and conceived this so brilliantly. The wishing well, the big floaty guy, the horse decoy. Oh my gosh, the chimp. There's another thing. There's a chimp in this movie. And I read the reviews. The audiences are very confused. What the heck is this? Why is this in the film? Why is he showing it? Take it and appreciate it. It's something that happens to Jupe as a kid. And it involves a chimp. It's very important because it tells you a lot about Jupe. Jupe was a child. Something happened. And a child actor. And it was horrific. And it was rather ghoulish. But in his current life in the movie, this knucklehead is set up like a tourist monument to this horrible incident. And he keeps the memorabilia and he keeps it in a special room. And he lets Emerald, and he says, usually I charge people to show them this, but I'll let you see it. And he shows her. He says, some Europeans, they come and they sleep in this room overnight because they want to be on this, with this memorabilia from this Gordy's House. Gordy's House is the TV show. So, but it tells you about Jupe. Jupe is not a virtuous character. He's a sympathetic character. He's a likable character. He's not a good person. He's not really, if he stole Lucky, which I think he did, and he set up this monument to this ghoulish, he sort of made his claim to fame on this incident, and he keeps kind of rehashing it in his life to pull in customers. Oh, this is just not what you do. But he does because he wants to be in show business and he wants audiences and he wants to make a living, and so that's why Gordy's house, that's why the incident at Gordy's house, the chimp, is in this movie. Don't be confused by it. That's what I'm saying. Don't be confused by the chimp. It's odd. It's really odd. It's depicted early in the film. In fact, the first thing you hear while the titles are coming up, you hear a line in the background from Gordy's House, the TV show, back in 1998, that you hear later in the movie when you see the incident occur. So it's important to the film. That joke, and again, that's interesting. It's a stupid, dumb, corny sitcom joke, like some wife telling his husband, well, you'd think a man who can put a rocket into space would know how to pick out a good birthday present. And the audience goes, ha, 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 ha. It's just a stupid sitcom line, and they've got this very canned audience laughter, and it's filmed evidently in front of a live audience. But don't think that Gordy's House and the chimp are like some extraneous thing, that whimsical thing. I mean, it is sort of whimsical, but it's not just grafted onto the film. Don't be confused by it. Everything is in this film that you need to enjoy it. Oh, it's so good. Now, last night I was really, really crazy because, last night I saw it that second time, and all the pieces came together. It was just so fantastic. Something in the hospital, an x-ray that made sense, and